How's it going?
Welcome everybody to the Gamers Got a Game podcast Saturday edition.
Yeah, we're hopefully going to do these things a little more consistently on an actual date, and it seems like Saturday is the day that we just both have free.
Yes, for now. Working second shift at a TV station kind of sucks that way.
Well, I work. I know I work first shift. You work second shift. But actually, this kind of works better because I was just telling you before we went live was that I'm so used to just waking up at like 11 or 12 on a Saturday. This actually gets me out of bed and makes me have to do stuff, which is actually good because this is the kind of stuff I like to do.
Yeah. So wake up with us.
Maybe that's what we should call it. Wake up with G3.
Wake up, G3.
Of course, I don't have any coffee. We could say wake up and smell the coffee, but I do have a zero sugar Mountain Dew with me. So wake up and smell the zero sugar Mountain Dew.
I had my coffee about an hour ago.
Well, if anybody watching here, I am actually starting a new podcast with an old friend of mine. We're resurrecting another one, Games, Comics, and Coffee. You will see us with coffee at that time.
Yeah.
Then you have that other podcast you do, Goes Nowhere, Does Nothing.
Yes, Goes Nowhere, Does Nothing. Launching soon, I promise.
I've talked to him about this. Definitely watch that when he gets that going.
Absolutely. And anybody following Gamers Got a Game ought to follow Goes Nowhere, Does Nothing. Also on Facebook and YouTube. And I'm the one that's over on Kick.
Yeah, he's on Kick. I'm on Twitch. I am going to be getting over on to Kick.
Nice.
Yeah.
There's a reason why I call myself Basic Bitch today. Because I play the bass.
Nice. Whoever
played the bass for the intro music better than me.
This is all we could afford. This is all we.
Right. I'm just filling in until the real musician arrives.
Sure. I told him there's a real musician and he'd get paid. Don't tell him he's not getting paid. I mean, hi. How are you?
Hi. Yeah, I'm doing great.
All right, so we got a lot of things to talk about on the show today. Let's kick this off. I know we got to start this off with a little bit of sad news. I'm going to actually present my screen so that everybody can see it. So, unfortunately, we got to say goodbye to a voice acting legend. Johnny Hardwick, King of the Hill, has died at the age of 64. Seems like there's a lot of celebrities dying around that age, like Kevin Conroy.
Yeah. Paul Rubens at 70. It's... I'm not going to say it's uncommon, but it seems to be... I don't know, it just seems to be this generation right now.
It's really sad, and of course they were actually working on resurrecting the King of the Hill TV series, and apparently he had actually done a little bit of voice acting to get a few of the episodes done that we're going to air on I think it's Hulu.
It's Hulu.
They were going to air on that, so we still get to hear some more of his work before that's done, but unfortunately.
Unfortunately, but kind of the I don't know if morbid's the right word for it, but Dale is a character that is easy to write off in an interesting way because he could just be chasing UFOs or something.
Yeah, true, but it's just really sad because I mean he's such a staple of the show as well, and we wish his family and his loved ones all the healing during this time of need here.
He's throwing pocket sand at angels now.
Yeah, I don't think they've actually announced what he died of. It sounds like this was pretty sudden.
Yeah, it's pretty sudden. Sounds pretty private. So respect for his family's privacy.
Yep, and you can see here, this is actually a picture of Johnny Hardwick with Mike Judge. Mike Judge, of course, being the creator of King of the Hill and also other shows such as Beavis and Butthead. I know he was he helped with Daria, but I don't think he actually developed Daria.
Yeah, he probably helped. I think he helped launch it, but then
Yeah,
it was just left
and then
to
he produced it, but I don't think he
the other showrunner.
created it. So very much, mad respect to him. This is actually, you can actually see on TMZ.com. There's the Best of Dale, so you can find this on YouTube. The Best of Dale from King of the Hill. If you've never seen the show, definitely check it out. It is not like Beavis and Butthead. It actually is more like a smart comedy, I would say. Give it a shot if you've never seen King of the Hill, and hats off to Johnny Hardwick and his family. And that's a transition there. Speaking of celebrities that are going to be extremely missed, did you hear about Adam West?
What about Adam West?
It turns out, I had no idea, but it turns out there's actually an animated Batman series or Batman movie coming out that's going to feature his voice as Batman.
That is, wow. How many years was this in development?
That's what I want to know. I got the article pulled up here. I'm trying to get this up. I hate my phone sometimes. I'm trying to get this pulled up here. There we go. This is not as refined as the radio show was when I had that. But
yeah, for one thing, I'm here.
Hey, but that actually gives me that. I like that you're here. I mean, I had Brandon sometimes on the radio show, but it gives me somebody to bounce off of, instead of just talking the whole time. And somebody I actually like, All right, let's see. Batwheels to feature the voice of the late actor Adam West. This is actually coming from Comic Book. Comicbook.com. Holy Batwheels, Batman. Adam West has played the campy crusader in the Batman television series of the 1960s. Will make a posthumous appearance on DC's Batwheels. The preschool animated series returns with a new batch of episodes Monday, September 11th at 7:45 a.m. on Cartoon Network's Cartoonito block. Now, this is actually going to featuring West as the voice of the classic and now anthropomorphized 1966 Batmobile. So he's not voicing Batman, but he's voicing the Batmobile, which is weird. But so, I mean, they did say this is a show for preschoolers.
He's Batkit.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, he stars in the special episode. It's going to be airing Friday, September 15th. Let's see. It says ahead of this year's Batman Day. Now, I'm just trying to find here. When did he die?
I think it was like 2018. Hang on.
Yeah, it was. West died at the age of 88 in 2017 after a battle with leukemia. Okay. Yeah, and he played the iconic Bright Knight, as people have been calling him, not the Dark Knight, but more the Bright Knight, for 120 episodes in the live-action TV series between 1966 and 1968. It's amazing that it was done that long ago, and even today, we still consider that to be very iconic.
For sure. How can you forget? Like, if anybody picked up what I'm playing... Batman.
Nice. Now, he was starring alongside Burt Ward in the 1966 Batman the movie. To mark the show's 50th anniversary, West and Ward reprised their roles in 2016 animated movie Batman Return of the Caped Crusaders, and again in 2017's Batman vs. Two-Face, which was released posthumously and featured West in his final performance as Batman. Or I would say what was his final performance up until that time. The new episodes of Bat Wheels premiere September 11th on Cartoon Network and will be available to stream on Max.
So how long was this episode in development then?
Well,
If they got Adam West.
It's a show for preschoolers, so I'm wondering if maybe they just didn't air it for some reason.
I could see that.
Dave, I'm looking throughout the article here, and I can see a lot of stuff about him, but I'm not seeing why they didn't put this out.
Yeah. So if they made it while he was alive, it's like, why wait until now?
Well, I'm not sure.
I'm not complaining.
I'm not sure if this is also maybe something that if they maybe took maybe voiceover work that he had done before.
Oh, you know what? Yeah.
Because they did that with Don Rickles with the voice of Mr. Potato Head.
Right, yeah. So I could see that they clean up some old voice clips.
Yeah.
They accidentally throw. Okay. So, fun fact for anybody who doesn't know, who didn't grow up with Shining Time Station or Thomas the Tank Engine, the American version was narrated by George Carlin. And there's clips on YouTube where there's Thomas the Tank Engine clips, but it's from the narration is from one of George Carlin's books.
Oh, really?
So it just makes everything sound dirty. So I'm wondering if anybody's going to take that episode of Bat Wheels and then just throw in Family Guy Adam West voice clips, just for YouTube.
You know what? I would be so surprised if somebody didn't do something like that.
I want to see that.
I would too. I honestly would too. An interesting side note, though, you mentioned George Carlin. My mother-in-law actually used to work for the newspaper in Rockford, and one of the people that she got to interview before she quit working there was actually George Carlin.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. She's told me a couple of times she got to interview George Carlin, and she also got to interview, if you remember, Sharon, Lois, and Bram from the Elephant Show.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, she interviewed both of them. Apparently George Carlin wasn't the nicest person to her. It was an over the phone interview, but I was like, it could have also been he was just having a bad day. Doesn't mean
it could. It could be, especially if somebody's in general a nice guy to people. He could have had an off morning. Maybe he's awkward on the phone. Could be a number of things.
Oh yeah, definitely. But I mean, I've always been kind of jealous that she got, even though it was just over the phone, that she got to meet George Carlin and actually have a conversation with him. I'm like, whether he was nice that day or not, I would still be I'd be geeking out.
Oh, exactly. I mean, how many opportunities do you get to talk to someone like that?
Yeah, exactly. So it's so iconic, I think, and George Carlin is actually in one of my favorite movies of all time. It's a pretty controversial comedy called Dogma.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
He was the one that unveiled the Buddy Christ.
Yes, very beginning of the movie.
Looks a little something like this.
Oh yeah, you're gonna show it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he actually played he was one of the most prolific atheists in the world, And of course, then what did Kevin Smith do? He cast him as a cardinal, as a Catholic cardinal. And I mean, he really fit the role just right, because the character was supposed to be very rough around the edges, very it was a controversial character. The movie itself was very controversial. I'm surprised they got so many A-list actors to be in it.
Right. I'm still looking for that DVD.
Yeah, really. You can get that DVD on Amazon, but you got to pay $50 for it.
Yeah, no, I'm waiting for just a secondhand shop to somehow have it.
Well, you know why they haven't put it out yet, right?
Doesn't it have something to do with Miramax?
Something like that. It's actually Kevin Smith doesn't own the rights to those movies.
Right. Oh yeah.
He doesn't own the distribution rights.
Right. I remember now. Yeah, he doesn't own the rights to the movies, but he owns the rights to the Jay and Silent Bob characters.
Right. So he can always mention that movie and mention things that have happened in that movie in his current movies, and he can talk about it all the live long day, pretty much.
Yeah.
But he can't do any kind of distribution with it. So, but the thing is, he said he doesn't have all the money to get the rights back to it, but he has friends in the industry that have said they would give him the millions that it would take to buy the distribution rights. But his thing is, it would actually go to the wrong person, because it turns out that it was Harvey Weinstein who produced the movie.
Oh.
And even though Harvey Weinstein is in jail right now for, I believe it's sexual misconduct and a whole smattering of things, because he's just a slimy dickhole. But yeah, even though he's in jail for that, if Kevin Smith were to buy the rights for that, the money would actually go to
Weinstein's.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody wants that right now.
Yeah, it would actually go directly to Harvey Weinstein. Even though he's behind bars, whenever he gets out, he would have Smith's $5 million, and he doesn't want to pay him anything. His whole thing is, he helped me with all these movies. He helped me get them up and going, but I didn't know he was doing this. And
right.
So yeah, so he doesn't want any part of it to go to Weinstein. So he's refusing it. And then he said, "I don't have $5 million to buy the distribution rights." But it's like Ben Affleck and a bunch of others have said, "Oh, we'd give you the money," and he's like, "Yeah, but then it goes to him," So hopefully someday they work something out, because Weinstein could easily what do you call that, like renege the rights or give them back to Smith. He could easily do that. He's just not doing it.
I think if Harvey drops first, then maybe that could solve the issue.
Yeah, but he seems really slimy. I'd be surprised.
Too slimy to die.
Harvey Weinstein, do the right thing, please.
No, I'm just like, wait for Harvey Weinstein to pass, and hopefully Kevin Smith will outlive him. And then it's like, yeah, it's not necessarily Harvey himself getting the money. It might be his estate, but it wouldn't be going to that little greaseball.
Oh yeah. Anyway, now that we completely sidetracked the whole thing, that, by the way, anybody watching the show for the first time, that happens quite often.
Yep. Speaking of slime balls, hang on, I got something for this.
Okay. Segway is spelled wrong.
Are you serious?
Yeah, segue. If you're talking about like segue from a story to another story, it's like SEGAU. Segue, like you have it spelled there, is like that thing that you ride on beaches in California.
Welp.
I know. I didn't learn that until just recently, though. I was actually like 2 days ago when I was watching a Legal Eagle video. Great channel, by the way.
No.
Editor quit the show, and she was doing her own video, and she actually put on there, she said, "This is how you do it." I had no idea. I was just messing with you talking about that, but yeah, it's actually spelled wrong the way that we've been spelling it for years.
Oh no. All right, well, I gotta fix it.
Let's see here. So, well, kind of staying along the lines of like comic book superheroes, like we were just talking about Batman, and you know what? I say Jay and Silent Bob are comic book superheroes too.
Yeah,
Blunt Man and Chronic. God, I love me,
Hemp Knight.
That's another thing with Kevin Smith. I was hoping he would do at some point. I was really hoping that they would do an offshoot of Jay and Silent Bob, and like maybe on Max or something, they would have a Blunt Man and Chronic cartoon. Like they could even like kind of joke and be it was by Holden McNeil and Banky.
They kind of did something like that like 10 years ago or so. Like they had an animated
but it was the Clerks cartoon, not a
No, it wasn't Clerks. It was Blunt Man and Chronic, and it was animated by the guy who was doing fan animations of Smodcast at the time.
Okay. I did not know that.
I remember the title. It's Jay and Silent Bob Super Groovy Cartoon Movie. And it's basically a Blunt Man and Chronic story.
Okay, I am gonna look that up. It's got to be streaming somewhere.
It has to be, or you can at least rent it on Amazon.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I am willing to give Jeff Bezos $4. I don't know if he.
Hey, listen, man, there's no video stores anymore.
That's really sad too. Like we grew up in
Yeah.
video stores, but I see why they're not really around anymore. But it's still sad.
Yeah, there used to be one by my house, but it went out of business during the pandemic. It's a liquor store now.
Hey, and you needed that during the pandemic.
Which, yeah, really.
I need that
Which
now.
I was going to say is fitting, considering before it was a video store, that building was a sports bar.
Nice. I have not been to. Of course, we came out and filmed those promos, but I have not been to your hometown for quite a while.
Yeah, there's not much in Poplar Grove itself, but Belvedere, up until recently, had a bunch of stuff. They had to close down a few restaurants.
Let's pull this back to the show.
Right, yeah,
People's lives were
the second's
upended.
spelled wrong. I can't use it anymore.
People's lives were upended. Now let's talk about Spider-Man. Don't you think that's fun?
Yeah.
Even
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Yep. So Across the Spider-Verse's home release isn't going to be like the theatrical cuts. What's kind of interesting is actually they had multiple versions of what was in the theaters while it was in the theaters.
Yeah, that's wild in itself.
I don't know why they did it like that, but I mean, the version I saw, I can say was quite fantastic. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. Just spoilers, ends on a cliffhanger.
Well, that was the thing. They announced it as a two-parter, so I expected it to maybe end on a cliffhanger, but not as big a one as they had.
No.
I thought it was going to be, what's going to happen to her?
At least resolve the threat, and then like, oh no, they're a bigger threat.
Yeah.
Kind of like No Way Home did.
Yeah, and having Spot come in as the primary bad guy. I mean, because you saw him come in, and I'm not really giving away any spoilers, but you saw him come in, and you thought maybe this would be just the villain that kind of introduces Spider-Man, be something silly, and suddenly it's done within about 20-25 minutes, kind of like the Dark Knight did when they brought Scarecrow back.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a threat for that one scene, ended on a joke with Batman going, where they were like, what's the difference between you and me? And he's like, I'm not wearing hockey pants. I thought it was honestly going to be something like that, but then it turned out that Spot is almost like the primary antagonist.
Yeah. Which, I feel like just a history of the Spot was always one of subversion, because he always starts off as kind of a joke,
and
then it's like, oh nope, this guy can really mess you up.
Very much so. I mean, I'm kind of hoping that they do a like a live action movie with him as a villain. I don't know how they could get away with that, but I mean, if they did No Way Home,
yeah, I mean, they could do. Well, I mean, with even with Doctor Strange, the way they do those portals, they could just kind of reskin that.
Yeah. But it's kind of interesting here because, and I'm getting this off of Kotaku, but in a recent interview with Games Radar, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse producers Phil Lord and Chris Miller explained why the movie's digital release introduced some changes to its multiple theatrical cuts. So it almost is like they couldn't figure out what they wanted the final version to be.
I hope they do, like, if they do release this on Blu-ray, I want them to do kind of like, you remember how like the home video version of Clue ended?
I don't.
So basically there were essentially 3 different endings to it, where you go through the whole movie, you get this one ending, and then you just see this slate of, and here's how it could have happened, and then a whole other scene plays out that ends it, and then here's how it really happened, and then that scene plays out, and then it goes credits.
Okay, yeah, I do remember that. It's been decades since I saw Clue, but but yeah.
I think the last line was I can't remember the guy's name, but like he was like allegedly gay throughout the whole thing, and then just he ends on, "I'm gonna go home and sleep with my wife."
Oh, to end it on a
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, like I said, it's been quite a while since I saw that. But yeah, definitely, if you've never seen Clue, check it out. I think it's one of Christopher Lloyd's best movies. Christopher Lloyd, who played Doc in the Back to the Future series.
And Christopher Lloyd was in Clue?
Yeah.
The one with Tim Curry.
Yep.
Hold the phone. I gotta look this up now.
Yeah, but he was in that, and then he was also in he played the villain in Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Oh, wow, yeah, you're right. It's been forever since I've seen that.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, kind of going back to Batman here, Sony Pictures ImagineWorks still had some shots that they felt they could do better for a finished version, while the movie's international cut was going through censor checks 2 months before its release, according to Miller. This led to the crew members chipping in with additional ideas for the final cut of the film. And with some tweaks and improvements to scenes that Miller says fans could pore over forever. So basically, they just thought it could be better.
I actually appreciate that they did that they went through that effort, because I mean, yeah, like if they felt it could have been better, it gives them a second chance. And also gives people who saw it in theaters that were kind of like, gives them a reason to check out the home release.
As long as you don't George Lucas the hell out of that, like he did with Star Wars, you know. Yeah, but it says certain crew members, people in the sound department or on the animation team were like, "Oh, we could do this instead." Miller told Games Radar, "Let's do the best possible version that we can, because it's a multiverse movie. It's like there's a multiverse of the movie." That was really the reasoning behind it. It was trying to make the best possible version that everyone was going to be the proudest of. So, I mean, I can totally understand why they're doing it. Sometimes when I say, if you're going to put a movie out, put the movie out, put it that everybody can enjoy it, and then leave it alone, unless you're going in there to clean it up. Or if you're going to make versions, or changes so that it's what you thought you saw in the first place.
Right. Yeah, I've seen something like that. Well, not seen, but I've heard tales of. For anybody who watches anime, who watches JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, there's definitely a difference between what's on Netflix and what they've released on the Blu-rays, where there were some parts that were kind of rushed to get out to Netflix, and on the Blu-rays, they clean up the animation a bit. They take off the goofy censors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There was another. That's why I was saying that, like, just don't George Lucas it, because I mean, when he went in there and redid Star Wars, when he started doing little things at a time, okay, I can see he was cleaning it up. And then when he did the re-release of Star Wars in the 90s, it was basically he was trying to put in where it was what you thought you had seen. With the cities having more animals and creatures around.
The cutscene with Jabba the Hutt from that's in A New Hope.
Yeah, but that looks so bad.
It did. Like it basically took the Phantom Menace model and shoved it in there.
Yeah. I mean, maybe if they'd have made that look better, I could have gone with it. Especially, I mean, because you didn't know what Jabba was really supposed to look like,
right?
back then. And then they go and they have him. They just have Harrison Ford step on Jabba's tail like it's nothing, and you see he doesn't even like really step up. He's just suddenly up and then back down.
Right.
So it's like maybe they really needed to clean that up, I thought. I mean, you had Harrison Ford. You could maybe just get him to refilm that and then skin his likeness over, kind of like they did with Indiana Jones, and that didn't always look the best, but at least it would have been something better.
Something.
That, and then I really didn't like how at the end of Return of the Jedi, when after Luke has defeated the Emperor and everything, and then they show it, they had they had the guy that was playing Darth Vader, the actual guy from inside the mask, because James Earl Jones was not actually doing the physical movements; he was just the voice. They showed him, and then they showed Obi-Wan, and they showed Yoda. And then all of a sudden, in the newer ones, after George Lucas went in there and cleaned it up, suddenly they're showing.
All of a sudden, it's Hayden Christensen. Yeah, that bugged me too.
Yeah, it was like, wait a minute, that's no.
Hey, now
there was no reason for that. And then they've tried saying that the reason they did that was because after Darth Vader killed the Emperor, that was him reverting back to the way that he was before he had been turned evil, which was back to Hayden Christensen's character. But I'm like, if you saw the original trilogy, he was not exactly a Jedi material.
Right. I mean, yeah, he kind of redeemed himself a bit for throwing the Emperor overboard, but no, man, like
you can't blame him though. In Star Wars, you ever notice how like the entire like trilogy, all the Jedi Council people are just telling Hayden Christensen, "You're not good enough. We'll never train you," and they're just running him down for years. It's like, of course he went to the dark side eventually.
Of course he's gonna snap.
At some point, you can only take so much before you snap. And I'm like, that's why I almost think it was the Jedi's fault that he became a Sith. They just kept telling him he wasn't good enough. He wasn't good enough. He'll never be good enough. You are on the council, but we do not grant you the rank of master. It's like, you just keep screwing them over.
Right. It's like, ever since, he got there in the first place, it's like, oh, what? He's 9? Nope. He's too old to start.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, Luke, who's like, what, 17 in A New Hope or something?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, yeah, no, here, just don't poke yourself with it.
Yeah, exactly. And what's the first thing you do? He puts the lightsaber like right to his face. Looking at dude, you could just easily hit the button and boom.
Credits roll.
The Sith won due to human ignorance. Which is probably the way it would go.
And just hear Obi-Wan going, you were supposed to bring balance to the Force, not this.
Exactly. We can just talk about Star Wars. This could just be called the Star Wars show.
We could do like a Star Wars episode if you want.
Yeah. We could you know what? We need to do the Futurama episodes. We need to do Star Wars episodes.
Oh, this is true. Yeah, okay.
This is where it sucked. This is where it was good. Yeah, honestly, I'm not one of those toxic fans though that looks at like all the newer Star Wars and just says, "Oh, nope, everything sucks." It's like, no, there are decent qualities to the newer movies.
Because some of the folks that I follow, they're just like, yeah, no, Kathleen Kennedy and Dave Filoni just like ruined the whole thing ever since The Last Jedi.
Yeah, but I mean, there are redeemable qualities to the movies. To me, there are.
There's some spectacles that I could say are good, like the Red Sand, that whole scene. Story-wise, stuff's kind of stopped making sense, and I was one of those people that was like, okay, Last Jedi isn't too bad. Meanwhile, people were just absolutely dumping on it, but it was Rise of Skywalker, whatever the last one was, where I'm like, no, BS. With particularly the scene that made me react that way was when Leia is like sucked out into space.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, she can use the Force and just put herself right back in the ship. It's like, no, you're dead.
She didn't have the midichlorians, or at least not that they ever said. Right. Unless they did it in some comic book I didn't read.
Also, at what point during the original trilogy did she ever have the Force?
Well, I mean, she did have it where she knew Luke was in trouble.
Okay.
Remember when he was dying, or when he in what was that? Empire Strikes Back, and he was hanging there after his fight with Vader.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So she was there, and then they were kind of driving away, and she's like, "Luke, we have to go back." So it's like so.
Okay, so she kind of had like a sense, but she didn't.
She had the sense and like the telekinesis kind of power, but she never had it where she could like move things, and she never
just reinsert yourself into a spaceship. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah. Yeah, that's our own little gripes on that here. But speaking of some geeky things though. So you know all about the writer strikes and everything going on. Well, a lot of the animation. Just trying to fix my computer screen here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah. Suddenly my whole thing just froze up. I don't know what's going on with that. Yeah, I don't want to have like a repeat of remember remember when
yeah. Then I had to take over.
Yeah. How dare you? You took my show. But no, Seth Rogen. Yeah, so Seth Rogen actually did not want animators overworked or suffering during the making of the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. Yeah, and he actually told the director it should not be their lives. So I mean, he actually went in there and he told them do not like overwork them. If the movie's late getting out, it's late getting out.
Yeah, say what you will about his acting. Yeah, no, that's something that's respectable. It's like, hey, we want our animators to actually like what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Which I totally respect, because I mean he's got some pull in Hollywood, because I mean his name does draw a crowd.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got some pull on here, and I like that he's using that. Not like Tom Cruise is one where it seems like he's more work first and have fun second, or have fun at work, but da-da-da. So you know, you got people like that, but then I like people here who are like they understand the everyman cannot spend 24 hours a day at work, you know.
Right, yeah. You need to go home, recharge. That way you're, go home, refresh, you're at your best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he actually is quoted here saying, "I really took that to heart and wanted to make sure that that when we made this film, we did it ethically." Now that was actually the I believe that's the director Rowe said that. Oh, here we go. I just quoted the wrong thing. Yeah. Yeah, he said that was the thing that was really important to this film, and I learned it from Seth, and even because and Evan, because in getting to know Seth, I'm like he has such a really good work-life balance, and everyone at Point Grey does. That was He said, and I asked him about that, and he was like, "Well, when you're doing live action, sometimes you're on a set for 40 days in a row, and it's exhausting and tiring. And we want to make sure that our people have time from have time from that, and it doesn't become their entire lives."
Yeah.
Now I can see when making a movie for maybe a small time, it has to become your entire life, but being your life for a week is different than it becoming your like being consumed by it.
It's because with live action, well, depending on the size, the scope of the project, I guess, shooting can take significantly less time than it can to animate, especially when you're going for feature-length films.
Right. And actually, I know the South Park guys, Trey Parker and Matt Stone, they said a long time ago that they learned that very hardly or very quickly when they actually went on and they were doing Team America World Police. Because with South Park the movie, it was done just like how the show was, where they could just kind of go back, animate, and do it super quick, because it was like all like kind of scotch taped together, as that show always has been.
Possibly literally at the time.
Yeah. But then they went in and they did what do you call it? Then they went in and they did Team America World Police, and they had to actually tell them these puppets are set for doing this, the scene is set for this, and then Trey Parker would go like, he would just ad lib a line, and they'd be like, "We can't just ad lib these lines with these puppets," Yeah. And he'd be like, "Oh, well, what if we have him jump from this angle? What if we have him jump from this angle?" And they'd have to like reset the whole thing.
And
he was like, "Yeah, I just grab a new piece of paper and a pen and start coloring for the show. With this, they actually had to like maneuver entire sets, build a new one over here, and it's all because I got this one sentence idea." No, and have you heard about this new one here? I know that you've got this pulled up too.
Okay, yeah. If I can pull up mine and then we can watch the trailer.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Give me just 1 second.
This is
just
the story we just
1
talked
sec.
about, and what we're going to talk about is why I'm wearing this hat.
And may I say what a fine hat that is? I want one like that myself. Actually, I saw one in Spencer's
Mm-hmm.
because I have a mall close enough to my house
Mm-hmm.
where it was like the TMNT logo, but the underside of the brim was a pizza. Like it was like half a pizza.
Nice.
So I'll go ahead and we'll just play this little
And
trailer.
actually, I can show you here. If you look here, inside the
Oh,
hat, it's got all the
dude,
different colors.
that's awesome.
I got this hat for $1, but that's because I had a lot of credit. Yeah, games.
Does quite a good deal. Yeah, this gives me an idea of possibly how this game is going to play out. Ooh-wee. Yes.
I like how it says in development and doesn't give you any kind of promises of when it'll come out.
Soon.
What is soon? Soon could be, I mean, they've already announced the next Elder Scrolls game, and that's still like 4 years out. You know?
Well, let's see. We're in now. We just passed then.
Mm-hmm.
Just now. So that means The Last Ronin should come out soon.
Or not. Maybe.
But yeah, like God of War style, like old school God of War, just like some really good like hack and slash kind of stuff.
Yeah, and that's you and I were talking a little bit about this last night. I gotta ask you, with you've actually read the comic. I haven't read it. So I do know the basic story of it. You know, I know that it's 3 of the turtles, and I'm not, you know, they've already announced it, so I can say it.
Yeah.
Three of the turtles are dead. Master Splinter is dead.
Yep.
I don't know. I think the comic book goes further into how they died, but the game so far hasn't. But they will. I'd be more surprised if they don't explain how.
Yeah.
Like,
so in the
some
comic,
sort of traumatic flashback.
they do take some time to show how each of the turtles died, and I won't go too deep into it because 1, my memory is fuzzy, and 2, I don't want to spoil too much.
Mm-hmm.
But they reveal like how each of the turtles died and how Splinter died and where's April and things like that.
And as I've seen on Facebook, there's there's a what do you call that? There was an alternate universe where Casey Jones and April O'Neil were married, and if I remember right, this is that alternate universe.
Yes. And yep. So Casey Jones is both alive and dead. In that
he's a zombie.
They had Casey and April had a daughter who was then named Casey Jones.
Okay. So, and they've actually said that this is going to be a God of War like style, which always makes me think it's going to be, you know, kind of that over the shoulder back, the hack and slash kind of thing. Excuse me. And they say, but the thing is, God of War was very, and I know that you know, they say God of War style, and they're not comparing the actual game itself, just the stylization of the game. Mm-hmm. But to say that that it's in the God of War style, that kind of makes me think it's going to be more of a hack and slash. But yeah, and I've never really thought of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as hack and slash. I guess it kind of is.
Yeah, I mean, if you go back to like the old school like arcade beat 'em ups,
mm-hmm.
It's kind of like a precursor to hack and slash.
Yeah. But I mean, that was just oh, you know. But I guess
then
that's kind of right. That
you get
led up
nuance.
to.
You get a little more nuance to it, and then like with Last Ronin, you can swap between all the weapons, like you would say like Devil May Cry.
Well, I gotta ask you something now.
Mm.
Okay, so what was if you had to give that comic book a rating? What would you rate it? I haven't I haven't read it, so
I would say,
is it R? Is it rated? Would it be like good? Okay, for
absolutely,
kids?
like it's hard R.
So, but that's the thing. That's where I'm kind of going with this. You and I were talking about this last night. Um, if they're going to go for a hard R or a hard M rating, I should say, for this game, do you think Nickelodeon would have slapped their name on it like that? Because I mean, if you play that trailer back, you can see Nickelodeon has their name right front and center, and Nickelodeon is synonymous with children's entertainment or kids and adolescents entertainment. Obviously, they have had shows aimed at teens. You know, and they do a little bit of swearing, but they don't usually go much higher than a PG, sometimes a very light PG-13. And
So yeah,
that game maybe makes it look like it's going to be a straight up M.
yeah, if they're gonna go like straight up M, they might go kind of in a route of like Arkham Knight. That was rated M, where its predecessors were T, and there's not much difference as far as like graphic content, but it's more just in the storytelling. So Nickelodeon has also been around long enough for, you know, the kids who grew up with, you know, the Turtles in the 80s and 90s, they're old enough to handle these themes, and Nickelodeon might recognize that, where it's like, hey, we're kind of giving this one to, you know, some of the old heads, some of the OG fans.
And that's what I was thinking too, because if you notice, they don't say Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin. They're not even using that. What do you call that? They're not using that IP at all. I mean, they are, but I mean, they're not using the Turtles as a selling point.
No, it's
because almost anybody that knows the Turtles, that grew up like we did, already knows the Last Ronin story, at least on a basic level.
Yeah,
are you looking that up?
Oh, yeah, I was just looking at like, you're right. There's no like, it's called TMNT: The Last Ronin, but the logo itself is just The Last Ronin.
Yeah, so I mean, if they're taking off the TMNT selling point there, then a lot of kids, because that's the thing, they're announcing this game really close to Mutant Mayhem, and Mutant Mayhem is a very PG, you know, very family friendly action Turtles movie that's in the theaters right now. But then they're announcing this game, which is very dark and gritty. But I'm like, who's your audience? Is it the nostalgic people, or are you trying to go for kids? Because you're putting Nickelodeon's name on it, which makes it go for kids. Nickelodeon's also got nostalgic factor to it, you know.
Right. I think they're kind of going for a kind of a buckshot here, because they have the movie that's out for the kids, and then you have your older TMNT fans who they may be a bit more critical of newer iterations, but they know that, you know, The Last Ronin, that kind of harkens back to some of the, not so much like the 80s cartoon, but like the original comics, where those comics were also pretty dark and gritty.
Right.
It's kind of like an oil and water situation, but I feel like Nickelodeon is trying to be like cover all their bases, so that way, you know, if for some reason the movie flopped, we got the game.
Yeah. Well, this will be a really interesting thing to see how it plays out. I am really excited for this one.
Yeah, I definitely want to check it out when it comes out.
Very much so. Move along here, because we do have quite a few things to get through here. I know that's not a very good transition, but
so much time and so little to do. Scratch that, reverse it.
Do you want to do your little segue thing?
The misspelled
Yeah.
You know what? I might just keep it for the joke.
Yes. It's spelled wrong. Yes, it is.
Why, yes, it is.
But yeah, I don't know if you guys can see this on your screen right now. But yep, Spider-Man and Star-Lord will be coming back together.
Reunited, and it feels so good.
You remember the success of the Last of Us, or not the Last of Us, but the Uncharted movie?
Yeah.
So Tom Holland here actually played Nathan Drake. And then, as we all know, he was also Spider-Man. And then you have Star-Lord here, Chris Pratt, who is not only Star-Lord, but he is also the guy from the Lego movie, the average dude from Lego movie. And then he also just recently was the voice of Mario, which honestly, he did a fantastic job.
Yeah, I was surprised at how well that went over.
Well, that was the thing. That was the thing. So many people were like so afraid of him doing that voice, and I was like, can we at least just give him a chance? Yeah,
Yeah, I just remember being like, oh, I don't know, I'm not quite sold on it. It just sounds like him. But then once it got into the movie and they gave kind of like the in-world explanation why he's not all woohoo the entire time, it's like, all right, this makes sense. This works.
Because that would have been annoying for an hour and a half just to hear that. Oh, hello, Luigi. It was.
I would say yeah for most general audiences, but anybody who's played any 3D Mario game, they've heard yeah woohoo yippee for several hours.
Yeah. But then, and that was the thing too, is actually if you watch the movie, he does get those. He nails those. Like when he's on the Rainbow Road, he's like, waha! It's like he got
he did really well there.
I mean, he had Charles Marinette probably sitting in the booth with him, going like, "Do it like this."
Yeah, that would have been cool if he did like a little like one-on-one voice direction.
I'm really hoping that they did. To be honest,
I want that to be the case now.
But anyway, so they are actually making a live-action Jak and Daxter film. Now, and it's actually going to be starring Tom Holland and Chris Pratt. I'm not sure which will play which. I'm pretty sure Pratt would play Jak and Holland would be Daxter.
Oh, really? See, I'm thinking the other way around.
You're thinking the other way around?
Because Pratt's kind of more in the voice world now. He probably ended up playing Daxter.
Maybe. The original voice of Daxter was actually the guy from Doogie Howser, MD. It wasn't Neil Patrick Harris, but the guy that played his friend.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
I learned that recently. But yep. So it actually was saying here. This is off of what is that? GG. I've never actually been able to say this. Grecon. Yep, you can barely move from the game adaptations these days, and while the likes of the Super Mario Brothers movie and HBO's The Last of Us have been commercial and critical giants, there are worries that making these projects just for the sake of it, like Naughty Dog's Last of Us, could Jak and Daxter be the next adaptation? I would actually say yes. That would be awesome if they were to do it. But I want to know what they plan on doing with it. Is it going to be where these two are animated in a live action world, kind of like they did with the Scooby-Doo movie? Where Scooby-Doo himself was CGI, but the rest of the cast most of the rest of the cast was live action. Or are they going to make it where these two like physically look like these two characters? You couldn't really do that with Daxter, I wouldn't think. He'd have to be animated.
Daxter would be animated regardless. And also, if they're doing a Jak and Daxter movie, which games are they basing it off of? Because there's a huge tonal difference between the first two.
I would say they'll most likely base it off of the newer games. Kind of like how they're doing the God of War TV adaptation for Amazon. Mm-hmm. And they're saying that is going to be based off of the Norse mythology instead of the Greek mythology.
Yeah.
But it will have Greek mythology like woven in there, but it's mostly going to be based on the newer games.
Okay, because I was going to say, if they're basing it off the first game, which is a lot lighter, I could see them going kind of like, not necessarily Illumination, but a similar production house of doing the full-on animated. But if they're going for the darker sequels in that, definitely it's going to be live action with CGI Daxter. but they're going to tone down. They're going to somehow tone down the hair for Jack.
No, don't do it. Don't tone it down. No toning.
They're gonna.
No.
I don't want them to, but they're gonna.
No. It's not right.
It's just not natural.
It's natural for him. Yeah, I am not gonna be I'm not gonna be a fan if they tone that down, but I mean, I still watch the movie, or if they turn it into a show, because that's what actually The Last of Us was supposed to be. It was supposed to be a movie to begin with.
It's a movie, but yeah, there's so much story in The Last of Us. It would be hard to cut down what parts go where.
Yeah, but originally, I guess it was supposed to be a movie, and Macy Williams from the from Game of Thrones was supposed to be on it. She was supposed to play Ellie.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I mean, obviously that didn't happen, and I'm really happy with the way that it's worked out now. But honestly, maybe if they were to make a movie, if they don't go with Pedro Pascal, and all them from the show, if they were to ever turn it into a movie, I would say Macy Williams would make a great Ellie, as long as you get that movie done within the next couple of years.
Right. Yeah. Otherwise, she's going to age out of that role.
Yeah.
And however, if they base it off The Last of Us 2, she might be perfect for that.
Yeah. Well, that's actually what happened with Mark Wahlberg. You know, the Uncharted movie had been in development for so long that when they were first talking about the movie, they actually wanted Mark Wahlberg in the role of Nathan Drake.
Okay.
And I don't know.
I never considered Mark Wahlberg as Nate, but I could see that. But I was definitely like, fuck yeah, this is perfect casting. Like, if they would have caught it early enough to have Nathan Fillion as Nathan Drake.
Yeah. Well, there actually is a fan film on YouTube where Nathan Fillion plays Nathan Drake.
Yeah. It's a good proof of concept.
Mm-hmm. But he had actually said that he would like to do it, and everybody was thinking he would have been perfect for it. He really would have been. But maybe if you do it with an older Nathan Drake.
Yeah. So, like if they wanted to do an original story, do like what would have Uncharted 5 been like, where he's kind of playing this. He's still Nathan Drake, but he's kind of playing the Sully role while his daughter is the one getting into like just foolish scraps.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. A lot of people thought that they would not just end they would not just end the Uncharted franchise, that they would keep going because it's a very lucrative, very lucrative franchise. But at the same time, I'm like, Naughty Dog also wants to do other things, but it would be great if they revisited that, not necessarily like right after we left them, but like, you know, now that she knows Nathan and Elena did pretty shady things, what if she followed their footsteps and it was actually told 20 years later?
Yeah.
Like, or not, perfect. I don't know about 20 years later, maybe like, you know, even 10 years later, so Sully could still be on there.
Yeah, and then
she's what, 14?
So then, like, you know, again, like Nate being kind of in the Sully support role, and then Sully going was like, yeah, now you know what I had to put up with all those years, kid.
Exactly. Yeah, so I mean, I hope they bring that back. This is gonna be a story that we're gonna follow, because I really am super excited for that.
Yeah.
Now, maybe we should have transitioned a little bit better, because the next story is actually about Mario. You want to take that one?
Sure.
All right, go ahead.
Let's share a screen. Hey, there it is. So, shocking everyone? No one? Somebody?
One
Mario movie is still going strong in Japan.
I don't know if that's really that shocking, though.
I don't think so either. Like, it makes sense, honestly. It's a Japanese property.
Mm-hmm.
But according to Go Nintendo, while the Super Mario Brothers movie wrapped its theatrical run in most places quite some time ago, the film is still in cinemas over in Japan. This is due to the movie reaching Japan's theaters considerably later than other regions, and the latest returns show that the moviegoers are really eating it up. Okay, so that's offset by a little bit. Didn't release at the same time as like over here.
Mm-hmm.
Earlier this week, the movie crossed 1 million $100 million, which is about 13.74 billion yen, making Universal's top title ever in the region. The figure is also good enough to move the Super Mario Bros. Movie into 6th place in terms of the biggest Hollywood films of all time in Japan. Don't have the top 5, otherwise I would list those off. Worldwide, Super Mario Bros. Movie is still the biggest film of the year, with Japan's box office still going strong. Nintendo and Universal could see the movie climb even higher before its theatrical run ends, and giving them all the more reason to do sequels and other Nintendo properties.
So that's actually really interesting, though, because that means that a movie that, for us at least, released 4 months ago, is now still dominating the world box office in some way. And it's not Barbie, you know.
It isn't. It may not be beating Barbie, but it's definitely a good, it's making Barbie work for it.
I actually just read recently that because of the success of the Nintendo or the Mario movie, Shigeru Miyamoto and Nintendo are almost insisting that Illumination do more movies.
Yeah.
Now, of course, we're very early into those stages, so we don't know exactly what they'll do. But some things on the table, at least the rumblings that I've heard online, they're looking to do a haunted Luigi's Haunted Mansion movie. So, yeah, I mean, there were references, very obvious references to Luigi's Haunted Mansion in there, but it would be a full-on Haunted Mansion movie. But basically, Mario would take a side seat, you know?
And, you know what? When they do that, when they do the full Luigi's Mansion movie, I want there to be a nod towards the beginning before Luigi, goes to the mansion. It's like, Mario is missing.
Yes, definitely.
And just goes, it's like, I hope he shows, Mario's missing. I got to find him soon. Oh, hey, the mail. Hey, I want a mansion.
That'd be awesome. I heard they were looking at a movie for that. They were looking at doing possibly a spinoff for a Donkey Kong movie. So it'd be more based off of Donkey Kong 64, I think. Okay. They would probably use almost the entire lore of Donkey Kong, but that's where I think they would probably pull the most from.
Yeah, there's definitely because they already established that the DK64 Kongs are in that universe. So that would make for an easy transition.
And they could have that song again, DK Donkey Kong.
Maybe they'll credit Grant Kirkhope this time.
Hopefully. That was bullshit that they didn't.
Right.
Yeah, I heard that one, I heard those two. At some point I heard Bowser would get his own movie, which I'm like, I don't know if he can really. He's a great side character. Jack Black does an amazing job. I don't know if Bowser could really hold his own movie. He can hold his own game.
Yeah.
But I don't know about holding a movie.
If they wanted to adapt Bowser's inside story, that's about as far as I could see it.
I would say maybe do that as maybe a little offshoot thing that's just put on Peacock or whatever streaming service they go to, and have it be a 20-40 minute thing.
Yeah, have it be more of a short.
Yeah. And then also they were talking about making a Legend of Zelda movie and possibly a Kirby movie.
Kirby would be interesting because he's kind of a silent protagonist.
But so is Zelda, or I'm sorry, Link. But
yeah, this is true. But there's also precedent that Link can speak.
He can. He just doesn't.
Right, and even if you notice, in the games where you have to make choices, that is technically Link speaking. But you could just you do the game, it gets to be very stoic. You can almost play him off as an action hero with maybe some one-liners.
Yeah. So I'm interested to see what they do with that movie, though, with Legend of Zelda, because that's pretty much one that they've already said, yeah, it's coming. You're just gonna have to wait.
Yep. And one of the dream ones that I want a Metroid movie,
but
I want Jenny Tartakovsky to run it.
Yeah. Let's see here. I'm going to share our screen. Now, did you ever see Scott Pilgrim versus the World?
Love that movie.
Well, the Scott Pilgrim Netflix show that is coming out, a lot of people are a little upset that they're even coming out with that. But there was a very obvious romance story that could be told between Steven Stiles and Joseph. And since that was never told, I think it was told in the comics, but I don't know if I don't think that was ever told in the movie. And this could actually retcon that.
Yeah, like it was in the comic. It wasn't in the movie. Like Joseph was basically just a side character. They didn't really invest much into him.
And that's a crime because they really should have. But yeah, a lot of people are hoping that that these two characters finally get their love story. They really should.
And I mean, yeah, like they're doing a series. They're not just doing a movie. So if they're doing a series, they have room to explore that.
Mm-hmm.
So go for it.
They can almost do it like Hey Arnold. Hopefully, they do it almost like Hey Arnold, where Arnold is maybe the main protagonist, but not every episode centers around him.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes he only had like 2 lines in that whole episode. You know.
Oh yeah, like I remember there's just kind of like words. Yeah, like there were just some episodes where it just like you just follow like Gerald or Eugene the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
I think there were a couple of Harold episodes.
And he was very much relegated to a background character.
Yeah. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that, especially when you have a very expansive cast.
Yeah. So I'm really hoping they explore this. I need to see the movie again. Michael Cera does an amazing job in that, but I really need to see that again. Speaking of Michael Cera, do you know he actually contacted Greta Gerwig to get his role in the new Barbie movie?
Oh, really? Is that how he got it?
He had heard about the Barbie movie. He knew that he probably wasn't going to be one of the Kens, but he was like, there were other
Yeah, there was like an Alan or something.
Yeah, Alan is who he ended up playing. Alan is actually Midge's husband. Midge was the Barbie doll that was actually it was named Midge, but she was the one that was pregnant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so she was pregnant, and they released this whole line where it was actually she was pregnant. She already had like a 3-year-old, which was a little doll, and then they had Alan, who was Ken's best friend and Midge's husband.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a whole controversy with that, like, oh, you can't have a pregnant doll aimed at girls. That'll increase pregnancy because we're stupid and we think that.
He's like,
you know? So yeah, there was that whole thing, which is why he was actually introduced and Midge was introduced. They were introduced, I want to say, in like the 80s, and then they were gone for a while, and then they came back like in the early 2000s, and then they were canceled. But now with the popularity of the movie, they're bringing them back.
Right.
So, but yeah, and people for a long time had always kind of thought maybe Alan was more like metrosexual or was maybe bisexual because of just the way that that he kind of looked, honestly, you know, and
because I mean, like
they play that up in the movie.
Basically, a surfer dude, like as depicted throughout the years.
Yeah. You really need to give that movie another shot, dude. It's really
maybe when it comes to streaming, yeah.
Once you get past the whole hi Barbie, you know, like right at the very beginning. Once she gets into the real world, that's where the movie really takes off.
Okay.
Let's see here. Okay, you and I were talking about this one last night. Why don't you go ahead and jump in for this one for the new strike system for Xbox?
Oh, I don't have that one pulled up.
Oh, okay, I got it. This is not a professional show at all, so.
All right, I guess that one's all you then.
I like how I pull this up, and the first thing it does is like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 reveal trailer. It's like, cool. You know. All right, yeah, this is what you and I were talking about last night. So apparently, this is just for the people that don't know much about it yet. Xbox has introduced a new system for punishing repeated toxic players, that can result in the most egregious offenders being banned from basically everything interactive that Xbox offers for a full year. Basically, that would make it that not only can they not do online games, but they can't do single player games. Which
What?
I think goes a little too far, because it's like if they're being toxic to the communities,
Yeah.
okay, whatever. I don't necessarily agree with how they're doing it, but whatever. But they're also
I got 5 words for this whole like 5 words for this whole thing, just to give a perspective from like the other side of things for those of us who were like in the old school COD lobbies and such.
Oh God, those were so toxic. I can't say I was any better doing them.
Yeah,
yeah.
5 simple words for this whole situation. Give your balls a tug.
Wow. I did not.
By the way,
Shorzy,
season 2, October 29th on Hulu. Hell yeah.
But yeah, so basically they'd get this for a full year. Now the system in question, which was revealed Tuesday, off of strikes, where Xbox users' punishments ramp up the more strikes that they receive, until a strike falls in their account and they get to start fresh. Now, the new system is in effect now, and with it, everyone gets a blank slate to give them an opportunity to turn their behavior around until they get the online capabilities restricted. I don't know. That almost sounds like it sounds like Xbox is trying to be a parent to a misbehaving child. Like, you've got time to turn your behavior around.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. Xbox shouldn't be your parent.
Exactly. What I'm wondering is, like, how are they going to tell the difference between two friends that are just going at each other and two complete strangers who are being dicks?
Yeah, I mean, if it's just like Xbox monitoring this, there's going to be no difference. But otherwise, like, it would just be like, report the player, and then all this BS would go through.
What I want to know, I just really want to know how they're going to tell the difference in that. Because, I mean, if you and I are on there and we're going back and forth, like, oh, Charlie, fuck that.
Yeah, it's like, if we're just like chirping each other and we're buds,
Yeah.
If it's going to be left up to an algorithm to police us, then there's no way.
Exactly. But then, I mean, you get a little kid in there. I actually had it once where I was playing, and this is partially why I don't play online so much. I was playing online, and the guy and I were he was probably about my age, and him and I were having a good time. And it was like, ha, blow the brains out of your skull, except you didn't have any, stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, like, there was a little kid that had come in. And I actually heard the mom going, like, can you guys tone it down? He's only 7. And I'm like, what the?
Why
no, I'm not going to fucking tone it down. Why'd you jump into my server here?
Right? Or my favorite personal experience, a friend of mine and I were just, it was when we were playing Black Ops 2. And we were just goofing off in the like main voice chat. And then all of a sudden we hear this little kid just being like, excuse me, ma'am, can you stop that? You're ruining my reputation. It's like, how old are you, son?
I did that because, I stream on Twitch, and I actually had it once where I think it was you and I that I had somebody come on and then ask if they could join us. And I was like, yeah, sure. I think we let them join Call of Duty. And the next thing we know, we had this like, hello. It was like,
oh yeah, like he was like 12 or something.
Yeah. And it was like, wait, I thought this kid was like 20 something or like late teens, 20. And then all of a sudden, like, hello, how are you? And it's like, crap.
Hey, nope, we are live. We do not want this kid on here.
Luckily, I think he only played for like 10 minutes, like maybe a round or two, and then he left. And then we're like, okay, we are doing like an age rating thing here. We're asking people, how old are you, before we agree to this? Because then it kind of killed the buzz. You and I were we were having adult fun, and then all of a sudden it was like, wait, now I feel like we got to tone it down.
So yeah, right now we have to like self-censor, otherwise we're gonna get in trouble.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I had that too when I was playing. What was that? Injustice: Gods Among Us. I was doing a lot of things online, and I didn't realize that I had the mic on, where not only could Twitch hear me, but it was also that that the it was the party chat so that
Yeah.
the other people could hear me too. I didn't realize I had the party chat on, and all of a sudden I had this little kid come on, and he was like, it said like round 1 and whatever.
Mhm.
And I was starting to go, and all of a sudden he's like, "Wait, I'm not ready. I'm not ready." And I'm like, now if I just sit there and wail on his character, I'm gonna.
You're right, yeah. And of course, he's just, that's how he just softens you up. It's like, nope, round 1, ding ding, there's a bell.
Mm-hmm. And I felt like if I keep going for that, like, not only was it gonna make me look bad, I was gonna feel bad.
Yeah.
But more with this Xbox rating now to give you a better idea of what how the system works. So like we were just talking here, Xbox compared it to the way that points are accrued on people's driver's licenses, with enough points resulting in the license being suspended or otherwise taken away. Those who do get punished by violating Xbox's terms that govern how players should conduct themselves, because it's up to them to decide that. They will also have the chance to review their own enforcement history, so that there'll be no surprise if they're ever hit with a number of strikes against their account.
Yeah, and like some people, they'll be banned like instantly, and then others is like, they'll just accrue like so many strikes.
50 times?
More.
100 times?
More.
200 times?
More.
500 times?
Probably.
And they'll still be playing.
Mm-hmm. I like that. We should just use that as a
as many times as I can.
Exactly. All right. Now I'll let you go for this here with the Alan Wake and the Assassin's Creed stories.
Crap,
you have those pulled up?
I don't have pulled up.
Did you do any kind of rehearsal for this?
All right, I have this though. Long and short, there's a metric fuck ton of games coming out in October, and Alan Wake and Assassin's Creed basically are flipping on opposite sides of the month so they can avoid traffic. So I think we discussed this, like Alan Wake is coming out sooner, like the first week of October, and Assassin's Creed's coming out towards like the last week of October.
Yeah, let me pull it up here. So yes, we'll go with Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed Mirage is now launching a week earlier than planned on October 5th. Revealing the new release date on Twitter, the shift appears to be a result of the game already going gold, meaning that the game is ready to is actually ready to ship. They're just getting the copies out to distribute. Now, it's already gone gold earlier this week, and on behalf of the entire team, they say that they can't wait to explore the 9th century Baghdad with Basim. Mm-hmm. Your journey starts now on October 5th. Save the new date.
Oh, I had it backwards. Okay, so Assassin's Creed is coming out sooner, and Alan Wake is later.
Yep. Now, Mirage was announced forward in 2022, as we all know. It's a map that's going to be much smaller, more akin to like the Paris maps in like Assassin's Creed Unity, than it will be for like Assassin's Creed Odyssey in Greece. And it will similarly only take 20 to 23 hours to complete. So hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours like the recent ones have been.
A nice change of pace.
That was the thing, is like I always loved those games, and then they just got so fucking huge.
Yep. And then it's like you have 9,999 side missions, and then you had daily missions, which would always replenish, and then you had, this, and this, and that, and this, and that, and these, and those, and then dang.
Yeah, and my friend Neodeath, who used to do some streaming, he hasn't done so much anymore. You remember Brian?
Yeah.
Yeah. He actually was saying that at the end of the newer Assassin's Creed games, he's a completionist. I like to play the main story and a bunch of the main side missions that give you, but like I don't go on every little thing. Except for Spider-Man, I did it for that one.
Yeah.
That was just because that was fun. But when he said that by the time he was done with like Assassin's Creed Valhalla and I think the last three, which were what was it, Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla.
Mm-hmm.
By the time he got to the end of them, he wasn't even playing to have fun anymore. He just wanted it done.
Oh yeah, and
and that's
for the completionist. Yeah, so you have that compulsion. You got to do it whether you like it or not.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like I don't like to play it because I feel like I have to.
Right. Yeah.
And eventually with those games, I just put them down. Like, I don't think I ever even finished Odyssey. Maybe I think I went back and finished it later. But that had such a leveling system that was so fucked.
Yeah, I remember.
You had to do like 500 side missions to get enough experience to tackle this boss in the main mission.
Yeah, I developed something just with myself that I call the Skyward Clause.
Mm-hmm.
Where this started with Skyward Sword. In that, like, I did everything else in the game, did absolutely everything, got to the final boss. Because it was motion controls, like trying to do what you had to do to actually kill the final boss was hell on earth.
Mm-hmm.
And I just got to a point where it's like, you know what? Screw this. I did everything else. I'm going to look up the ending on YouTube. I'm done.
Yeah. I've done that with a few games, but yeah, people like you and I that have work lives,
We're working adults, unfortunately.
Exactly. Unless we get a sponsor. Actually, you can't live on one sponsor, so unless you get sponsors.
Hire me.
I will promote your product and tell everyone it is sexy. Unless it is Depend. Yeah. That is not sexy.
I'm too sexy for my sponsors. Sexy for my sponsors so much it hurts.
Yep. So, and on the other side of that, coin,
it's not coming out in October 2023.
Yeah. Alan Wake has been delayed to avoid going in directly head to head with Spider-Man 2 and Super Mario Brothers Wonder. So as we said, the other one was October 5th. Remedy announced that Alan Wake 2 will be getting delayed by about 10 days, actually. Exactly 10 days, from October 17th to October 27th, to move it away from Spider-Man 2 and Super Mario Brothers Wonder. Now, I don't know if Super Mario Brothers Wonder really is going to be that much of a competition for Alan Wake, because I don't think Alan Wake's even coming to the Switch, and Super Mario is only available for the Switch, but I'll bet they're doing that more for Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, and Nintendo as a whole is just in a league of its own.
Mm-hmm. I mean, unless
you're getting people with multiple consoles. That's going to avoid all this headache.
Mm-hmm.
Lollipop Chainsaw Repop, except for 2024.
I love how they call it Repop. That's.
I feel like they could have called this so much worse.
They probably thought about it internally.
Yeah. So long and short, anybody who remembers Lollipop Chainsaw, it's a pretty fun zombie killer game.
Okay, we were talking about this last night.
Oh, it was delayed to summer 2024.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it. I think it was supposed to come out sometime in 23, and now they're saying what, December 24.
That's fine. I can wait for that.
Yeah, there's a lot of other things.
Make sure
summer 24.
Make sure the quality's good.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too with Lollipop Chainsaw. That's a game where it's got the nostalgic factor. It wasn't a massive hit when it came out, but it was a cult classic.
It was for people who were fans of like No More Heroes and Killer 7, basically like Suda51 games.
Right. And this is a game that I don't know if it was being made today for the first time. I don't know if they could get away with it.
Someone forgot to fact check this, or have I just been under the wrong impression? Suda91?
I don't know.
Thought it was Suda51. Sorry, go on.
Maybe somebody just hit the wrong button.
Must have.
But yeah, we were talking about this last night. Like, this is a game, I don't know if it was being made today for the very first time. I don't know if they could actually get away with it.
I feel like it might. Again, it would be that hard M, borderline AO.
Wasn't that what it is now? Isn't that what it was back then in the PS3 days?
It was M. It wasn't AO.
I'm kind of wondering though, are they doing with this game like they did with Destroy All Humans, where they're making it the game that you thought you played? Like they're cleaning up the animation. Some areas are more cartoony, some areas are more serious, some areas are more cleaned.
I can
some
see
areas
them
are more
doing
dirty.
that. I'd rather them do that than the lazy like Red Dead kind of a port they did.
Oh fuck me! that's with that one.
Yeah,
Okay,
there's cheaper ways to play it. Save your money.
it looks good. It does. Don't get me wrong. I think it looks good, but it's not $50 good.
No, like wait for a huge sale.
If they had put that out with a $30 price tag, I could kind of justify it because not only are they giving you Red Dead Remastered, but they're also giving you Red Dead Undead Nightmare. I could justify $30, $40 for it. 40 at the most though.
Yeah.
Now here you're not even making it look that much better. You're giving me no additional content and you're saying here buy it for, almost $100. No. Why don't you pay me $100 to play it,
right. Rockstar, sponsor us, please.
I know, we're ripping on your game. You should sponsor us. No, Rockstar used to be a great game. I mean, they used to be about consistently delivering excellent gaming experiences, and now it takes like 5 years between games.
Well, it's they've kind of fallen into with some AAA studios where it's like, yeah, we got to spend $1 trillion for the game. It's like, dude, I've seen people like make things for a fraction of that price that are phenomenal experiences.
Well, like Alan Wake,
or even just like look at the indie scene. Like, they maybe get a couple 100,000 max, and then like you get stuff like Pizza Tower. And it ruled.
Did you ever see Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons?
Heard of it?
Yeah. I mean, pretty much anything Joseph Fares does is, he always made jokes saying that, he works with Electronic Arts for a lot of his games, and they get a lot of flack for what do you call that? Like the microtransactions and all this. And he's like, he'll compare it to other games that they're doing. And he's like, I don't have the budget that they have for this other game. Pretty much they gave me their coffee budget and told me to make a game. So, yeah. But he does, I mean, hell, he's winning Game of the Year awards.
Right.
There's no reason. And I read an article recently that said Grand Theft Auto 6 is set to be the most expensive piece of entertainment ever put out, which means it's going to be more than like the Mission Impossible movies. It's going to be more than the Avatar movies. It's going to be more than Grand Theft Auto 5, which at that time had the record for most expensive piece of entertainment ever put out. We don't need to double the fucking budget every time.
No.
We need to be creative.
And I think the only reason why there isn't going to be another video game collapse is because there's such a strong indie scene right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I could see a lot of, if they continue to go this route, I could see some AAA studios folding.
Well, I mean, look at Irrational Games. They put out at least 2 amazing games with BioShock. I don't think they did BioShock 2, but then they also did BioShock Infinite. Those were phenomenal. Yeah. Those were very expensive. Those got shut down, even though those games made like 5 times their money back.
Right. It's not. It's cool. It's great, but it's not sustainable. That's the issue.
They said something recently that I guess Sony didn't like this, but I don't know if their emails got hacked or one got leaked, but it said that games like The Last of Us and Horizon Zero Dawn, or Horizon Forbidden West, their budgets actually went out online saying that some of those games were like 600, 700 million to make. And it's like everyone was like, those were phenomenal games, and they very much earned their place in video game history. But even all the experts were saying that's not sustainable.
Mm-hmm. I hate to do this, but I got to bounce pretty soon. If I don't need something, I might die.
Oh, okay. We'll get this going. We just got
lightning around these last couple.
Yeah, just got these last stories here. We're gonna figure out a better way to time this. But
I mean,
because
we've been going like an hour and a half.
yeah, true. So this last or second to last story here, this is because people are stupid. This is so mature. This is the most mature story we're gonna read. Just read that. Starfield review bomb being planned by disgruntled gamers.
Okay,
Why
again,
we're
those 5 words I
supposed
mentioned before, give your balls a tug.
exactly. Why the fuck are we doing this? I'm not doing it. I'm not.
I'm not like, again, like if someone pushes me to do something and I don't want to do it, I will go so far as to oppose. So I may give the most glowing review
Mhm.
of Starfield, having never played it.
I might do the same thing just to try to level
Just
it.
what's the opposite of bomb?
Flowered?
Review flowered.
I review flowered it. That's the thing
Let's
now.
make that a trend. Let's review flower games where whether or not we've played it, just give it the most glowing review.
Okay, we need to put that on Twitter and go like hashtag review flower.
Review flower, yes.
Or should it be review pollinate? God, that actually sounds weird.
No, let's review flower sounds good.
Okay. But yeah, this whole thing is like some gamers, especially PlayStation gamers, were upset by Starfield's PC and Xbox exclusivity. Disgruntled gamers are now planning to review bomb it. And this is why I don't trust those metric reviews, because then they're like, oh, the audience score. It's like the audience score can suck a ball sack.
Yeah, that's why honestly these days, like, don't go for the reviews, because one, it's subjective. And two, if you want a real sense of how the game is going to be, look for a streamer, because they'll play it live and they'll give their honest opinion. Because chances are they were really looking forward to this game. They really loved the series or were looking forward to it, and they'll let you know.
Exactly. Yeah, so I read that and I was like, whenever I hear review bombing, I'm always thinking like, remember like The Last of Us 2, how that got review bombed?
Yeah.
It was just because Ellie was gay, and it's like, she was kind of hinted that she was
gay
gay
in the first one.
Exactly, and then it was solidified in the DLC, which was free, by the way, for a while. And then they're like, "Oh, how could she be gay in the sequel?" It's like, did you read the other fucking 2 games?
It's like she was gay in the first one. Like, what's the problem here? I think from what I had picked up, I think they were more upset that they killed Joel right away for practically no reason.
Well, there was a reason. It's just I didn't think that he needed to die that quick in the game.
You're right.
And then they were really upset that he was in a lot of the promotional material and he was only in about the first 40 minutes of the game.
He was like in the prologue of the game and then in flashbacks.
Well, what really pissed people off is they put out a trailer where he comes up and he saves Ellie from a bunch of people that are shooting at her. Mm-hmm. And then he goes like, "Oh, didn't I tell you to do this?" And then when you got that in the game, it was a completely different character that saved her.
Yeah.
Like, okay, now you just flat out lied to me.
All right, yeah, that's a bit of a bait and switch.
Yeah. All right, I know you got to get going here. Let's do this one last story. Let's do this one last story. You want to pull that up?
You're. So, Gamescom. Don't expect too many. Don't expect too many reveals.
Yeah, and that's honestly a good thing, I think, because don't tell me what's coming out. Give me more information on the games that have already been announced.
Right.
That I'm already excited about.
When I say tell me more, give me more info on what we've already known.
Mm-hmm. And that's good. When is Gamescom?
Gamescom, does it say? Gamescom opening night live 2023. August 23rd. So that is Wednesday. Right. Big Apple, 3 a.m.
So that's going to be good, though. I think it's great that they don't announce a lot of new stuff. Just tell me, Phantom Liberty, what's going on with that? Tell me Spider-Man 2, what's going on with that? Yeah, I'd be more. I think actually at Gamescom we're probably going to get a trailer, new story trailer for Spider-Man.
It's about time.
And I know Remedy has already said that they're going to be there, so I'd be more surprised if we didn't get a full-blown story trailer, probably a gameplay trailer from Remedy about Alan Wake 2. So, I mean, that's just my predictions for it. I am very happy that they're not going to be so or so release happy or so what do you call it, reveal happy. But you know what? Mark my words on this. The fact that they're not being reveal happy here means that in a couple months, the Game Awards, they'll be reveal happy there.
Oh yeah,
and that's probably why they're not doing it here, because they want to reveal it there.
But yeah, there's like the industry's like, okay, let's just pump the brakes a bit.
Let's get out of October 23.
Once we get past October, then we'll make March 2024. We're gonna have a game releasing every single day of the month.
That's what it seems like. But do you know this is actually a reflection of COVID, though, right? It's because so many of
snapback from it.
Yeah, so many games got delayed and pushed and everything else, and now all of a sudden it's like all these developers that were probably going to put them out sporadically before are now sitting here going like, well, we've been working on this for a while, let's get it out. It's like, well, now your game's going to flop because you're putting it up against these other giants.
Yeah, but it'll level itself out in a year or two.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I know that you got to get going. You got to get going for work. I got things I got to do around here, so. Let's see.
So,
just looking at
hi everybody.
All right. Well, I want to thank people who are watching it now and who are going to be watching it later, because this is being recorded. Thank you very much for watching us. And remember, haters gonna hate, gamers got a game. All right, guys. Peace out. Thanks for watching. Love your face. Bye.